talking to applications that we don't really own ourselves. Why bother? Well, the way we work is split into us and them, back end and front end. We need to let our website know things that we look after. Long time ago, we didn't really have better ideas or any other ways of doing it, so for a long time we've just been injecting our information directly straight to someone else's database. It's not ideal because we get forced to speak their version of SQL. They're complaining a lot because they want to refactor their schema, but they can't unless we all get together as one big family and do it at the same time. And the two remote systems are tightly coupled with the database rights. So it works, but it's not ideal. About a year or so ago, we discovered the idea of queuing. We were a bit late to the game. We were still only thinking about ourselves at the time, and we just wanted to cache some longer running tasks that the users were complaining about, page timelines and things like that. So we went with the Schwartz because that was what I saw. It was quick and easy and solved the problem that we had. So it didn't help us talking to the database, but it was a step in the right direction, I hope. One of the problems, Schwartz is Perl only. Java guys, they weren't too happy. It was invisible, so. Our initial solution, it's kind of a two-stage approach. We sort of prototyped. We went to MQ. Wasn't my decision, but I think it's a good decision. We'll find out in the next few weeks when more of it goes into production. Java guys like it because it's Java. We can talk to it, so we don't need too much. Perl, we tend to be more flexible. We can work around strange decisions. Generally, it's got good feedback as a reliable, tested solution. There are loads of people throwing stuff at ActiveMQ, and presumably loads of people also looking for ActiveMQ. From the Perl perspective, we're using Stomp. That's just the easiest way of talking to ActiveMQ. We don't have to do any crazy Java dances or anything like that. And if any of you have seen NetStomp, it's a really quick and easy way of interacting with AMQ. This is stolen straight from the Stomp man page. It's just an example of new object, connect, send, done. It's fine for bits and pieces. Reading from queues is similar. While loop, just to keep reading messages off the queue. Gets a bit boring quite quickly. It's very low level. You just feel like you're on the edge of ActiveMQ. You end up doing a lot of copy and pasting between scripts and modules, and you end up with slightly different variations of talking to NetStomp in different places. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because someone copied and pasted, but then they changed something but didn't. I think we've all copy pasted coded, so we know what that's like. And error handling, it's kind of okay, but it's very low level again, and it's not particularly nice to use. And copy and paste error handling because it's not there. So over the last 3 or 4 months, I've taken out the prototype we had using NetStomp, generalized it, and we've just recently gone with NetActiveMQ. It had an internal name until recently, but it thought it would be nice to have something that was publicly friendly. Basically, we wanted to standardize our interaction with ActiveMQ across all of our Perl-based applications. And we've got quite a large team. We didn't want everyone to know the exact details of dealing with ActiveMQ. We just wanted to go, there you go, just off you go. Net ActiveMQ, it's a layer of abstraction on top of NetStomp, and we use Catalyst Engine Stomp for reading off the queue. Packages everything up in a nice way, so really can just hand it off to the rest of the team. And when stuff goes wrong, I've only got one piece of code to fix and not 5 or 10 different copies to search through. Talking to a queue, nothing spectacular. You just create a new object, then you send a message. I'll go through the messages in a minute. If you do this at the moment, you immediately get told that you're talking stuff that you don't know about, which is what I'm doing now. This is an example of a producer. Most of our magic is tucked away in roles and moose magic. The simplest case is tell it where you want it to go, tell it what you want done to it on the other end, and you can munge the data at this point. So if you've got something in one format that's easy for the guys to deal with, but you need to convert to ISO 9601 or something, you can do that here, or you can factor it out, and then you just return your munch data, and everything else happens by magic, pretty much. At type is a little bit odd. We're kind of moving away from that. That's it ties in with consuming, which I'll go through in a minute. The initial implementation we had, a little bit strange. We were validating what we were sending to other people. So there's nothing wrong with it, but at the time we weren't validating what they were sending us. So my implementation, this is optional. So if you want to validate something, stick in a message spec function, return some data RX voodoo, and there you go. You pretty much make sure that you're sending what you think you're sending, if you can. If you don't care, but you still want the function, you can just put any there, and yeah, they'll take any old rubbish. Sending, we've got two applications, one's Catalyst, one's not. Quickest way of using it is just with a helper. It's pretty standard. So set the helper, and then that's almost exactly the same as the earlier example, except you're going through the Catalyst one. Why did I do that? That's a very good question. Message spec. It was there from the implementation that I was generalising. As I said, you can catch your own stupidity. I make many mistakes, so I like to catch them as quickly as possible. So generally everything I write tells me how stupid as early as possible. There's no real reason to use it. If people want to be paranoid, let them. But if they don't, then don't force them. Data RX, I think we toyed with moose types for a while. The biggest reason for switching was nice error messages. I don't know if you've ever seen the error messages that come back when you use reset types. There was a validation error somewhere in the spec you gave me. Not really helpful when you've got about 40 or 50 fields and you're trying to work out which one.
Actually, I think, are you talking about this X type structure?
Probably.
I think that might have been improved in recent work.
Okay. But yeah, data RX is pretty much, I was not expecting this field, get rid of it, or it doesn't match what I thought it was going to do. So you can look quite quickly and go, that's what's wrong with it. So we've gone with data RX, so it speeds that out. Yeah, trace about that bit, but it's a nicer format, I think. Yeah, easier to work out where you messed up. Another reason, just threw that in to make it look like we didn't only have one. So you can send stuff like this, or you can talk with Python and JavaScript or whatever, and you're kind of talking the same format. So if you want to share specs, then it's a little bit easier cross-team, which we don't do yet, but we can if we want to, using DataRX. Receiving is pretty simple. Net Active MQ's just got a consumer that gets installed into scripts. You just run it, uses Catalyst engine stomp, and there you go. I've trimmed out most of this stuff. And this one, although it runs, it's really, really boring because it just listens for messages that you're almost definitely not sending to it. It's fairly easy to add something useful because, once again, I've written a helper class. So if you've used Catalyst, that's fairly familiar. Don't forget to put the ActiveMQ on the end, otherwise you just end up with a normal controller. It's not rocket science, but it just saves you some typing. So we've added the some message one that I've been using in all my examples. I snuck in this line between the two examples so it actually sees it, and now we've got the some message controller. So it will listen on wherever that controller says it's listening. As if by magic, here's the controller itself. Most of this, I updated it recently, so it actually works a little bit more sanely. Basically, you just say, that's the two I'm listening on, so /q/some message. If you don't have that in, it defaults to something and you can play a 10 or 15 minute guessing game working out where your messages are being read from. I find that a lot easier. And the way Catalyst engine stomp works is you have to say what you're processing, so then it uses that to call the method. So the add type that was sent in the producer was action method, I hope, which will then read off the some message queue and then look for the action method. You can do whatever you like in there. Didn't really have anything to do, so I just thought I'd fill out my logs with warning messages. Consumers in Net ActiveMQ do enforce validation, well, in the same way that you can tell it to take any old rubbish, but you're forced to say that you're taking any old rubbish rather than silently taking any old rubbish. Again, DataRX, and this way we know that people are sending us what we're expecting. We can just ignore that. If it dies, then it dies, and if it doesn't, yay. Issues that we've got generally, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think, is only when it started really being used properly by the team that I'm in. So I'm only recently finding out the stupid things I did, and I'm only finding out that they want to know the stupid things they did. So still ironing out some of the bits and pieces along the way. Error handling, I think, has improved over the last week or two, but I'm still not entirely comfortable with it. I need to write some documentation because the team keep asking me questions. So I need to flesh out the pod to say, that's how you do it. Or actually, when I get back, I'll just give them this talk and say, this is how you do it. But, so it's borderline alpha beta at the moment, I think.